April 5, 2026. The airspace over Iran's Khuzestan province is hostile, highly monitored, and completely unforgiving. An American F-15E Strike Eagle takes a critical hit, plummeting toward the jagged peaks below. The pilot and weapons systems officer are forced to eject, drifting down into heavily armed enemy territory. Rescue forces manage to recover the WSO almost immediately, but the pilot is separated during the descent, vanishing into the brutal, rocky expanse of the Zagros Mountains. Almost instantly, the threat on the ground escalates. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps places a $60,000 bounty on the missing pilot, mobilizing local forces into a massive, heavily armed hunting party. But the soldiers on the ground are only half the problem. The rescue forces face a complex technological barrier, a dense layer of signal interference known as the electronic fog. Here's how the fog works. Severe Iranian GPS spoofing overrides navigation satellites with fake signals. Instead of guiding a helicopter through a mountain pass, the corrupted data causes the digital flight paths to warp, fracture, and scatter entirely off course, effectively blinding incoming aircraft. The pilot is completely isolated in a technological dead zone. With a private army closing in on his position, a desperate 48-hour race against the clock begins. On the ground, survival becomes a grueling test of physical endurance. For nearly 2 days, the pilot evades capture by wedging himself into deep rocky crevices, remaining absolutely still while search parties scour the terrain just inches away. In the air, U.S. rescue helicopters, the HH-60W Jolly Greens, are stranded outside the jamming zone. If they try to penetrate the spoofed airspace alone, they will crash blindly into the mountains. To solve the navigation crisis, the military calls in a highly specialized asset, the HC-130J Combat King II. The Combat King flies at a high altitude, safely above the distorted digital layer, projecting a lifeline to the blinded helicopters. Bypassing the interference, it drops a series of physical flares, creating a visible breadcrumb trail to guide the helicopters safely through the fog. To beat an advanced cyber warfare net, the rescue team abandons modern navigation entirely, relying on raw physical visual cues to finally reach their target. Guided by the flares, the rescue helicopters finally breach the fog and locate the pilot. But enemy forces are converging fast, and the extraction window is rapidly collapsing. The extraction force includes 2 massive HC-130J transport aircraft sitting fully loaded on a makeshift dirt airstrip nearby. With enemy forces nearing the perimeter, there is no time to prepare the heavy, slow-moving transport planes for takeoff. Every minute spent on the runway increases the risk of the entire force being overrun. Leaving the planes intact is not an option. Each is packed with classified avionics, encrypted communications gear, and sensitive stealth technology. This chart illustrates the raw calculation made on the ground. One side holds hundreds of millions of dollars in aviation technology. The other holds a single pilot. The decision is made in seconds. Before escaping, U.S. forces deliberately obliterate their own multi-million-dollar aircraft, reducing them to burning scrap on the dirt. The absolute necessity of keeping next-generation state secrets out of Iranian hands turns the destruction of a massive financial asset into a harsh but necessary tactical sacrifice. The ticking clock stops. The isolated pilot is pulled from the rocks and secured tightly inside the escaping Jolly Green helicopter. After 48 hours of relentless, pure survival, the sheer physical exhaustion sets in as the airman finally takes his first sip of water. Down in the dust of the Zagros Mountains, the IRGC's $60,000 bounty expires uncollected. That local payout is a rounding error compared to the staggering material loss the United States chose to absorb, losing an F-15E Strike Eagle and intentionally incinerating 2 MC-130Js. The military accepted the total loss of 3 advanced airframes to ensure 1 person made it home. In this calculus, the hardware is a consumable resource. Despite the impossible odds and the heavy burning cost left behind on the sand, the rescue force honors their defining motto, that others may live.